Welcome to SVR IAS Academy. In our today's video lecture, we are going to see about the Hindu newspaper analysis of 26th December 2017. This is the first page of Hindu newspaper, and this page contains one important article. This article is very much important from the perspective of General Studies Paper 2 of UPSC Civil Services examination, because this article is discussing about the India's foreign relations. Recently, in order to boost the international relationship of India, the Indian government has announced the new policy, that is the Neighborhood First policy. According to this policy, the Indian government is going to focus on its neighborhood first, that is the neighborhoods like Bangladesh, Bhutan, China, Nepal, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Myanmar and Afghanistan. So far, the Indian government has taken a lot of steps to strengthen its relationship with the neighborhood countries. The present ruling party of India has invited the heads of the neighborhood countries for the inauguration ceremony. After that, the Indian government, especially the Prime Minister of India, has conducted a mini short meeting with the neighborhood countries. After that, the Indian Prime Minister has visited many of the neighborhood countries during his first year as a Prime Minister. And the Indian government has also created the Shark satellite for the neighborhood countries. These are some of the positives which have been taken place because of this neighborhood first policy. Now let us see the individual relationship between India and its neighbors. First, let us see the India-Bangladesh relationship. The major achievement of the India-Bangladesh relationship during this neighborhood first policy tenure is the India and Bangladesh has come to an landmark agreement on the land swapping deal. According to this deal, the conclaves were exchanged between these countries. This is the one of the greatest achievement of the India-Bangladesh relationship. But one problem which is present between the India and Bangladesh is the present Rohingya crisis issue. Since India haven't taken any kind of a positive step in addressing the Rohingya issue, the Bangladesh is highly disappointed with India. Next, let us see the India-Bhutan relationship. Bhutan is a long-time friend of India. The present Prime Minister has visited the Bhutan within the first 100 days of his tenure. Such importance the present Prime Minister has given to the Bhutan nation. And recently, India has supported Bhutan in the Doklam issue, due to which the India has faced the wrath of China. Next, let us see the India-China relationship. Recently, the Indian Prime Minister has visited China for attending the BRICS summit. It has held at the Xiamen. It is one of the positive steps. During this journey, the Indian Prime Minister has created a cordial relationship with the Chinese Prime Minister. After that, the Chinese government has accepted to participate in the 20th round of the border dispute discussion. It is also one of the positive steps. And then the Indian Foreign Minister and the Chinese Foreign Minister has present for a discussion during the RIC meeting. The RIC meeting is a meeting held between three nations, that is India, Russia and China, and it is a foreign ministers level discussion. It is also one of the positives of the India-China relationship. The one negative which has happened in this relationship is the Doklam issue. Apart from that, the India and China is also having a difference of opinion regarding the China's Belt and Road initiative. That is what all about a brief introduction regarding India-China relationship. Next, let us see the Nepal-India relationship. Nepal is one of the long-time friend of India. The Indian Prime Minister has visited Nepal within the first 100 days of his Prime Ministership. The Nepal relationship with India is highly good, but one problem is recently the Indian government has stated that the new constitution of Nepal haven't provided enough representation for the Madheshi people. This statement by India has caused a huge amount of disappointment from the Nepal's perspective. So it is one of the issues which have to be addressed, and during the time period the Indian government has not cooperated well with Nepal. As a result, the Nepal thought such kind of action of India as an unofficial economic blockade. So the Nepal has turned towards the China. So it is also one of the issues which have to be addressed. Next, let us see the India-Sri Lanka relationship. Sri Lanka is a southern neighbor of India. The Sri Lanka has recently tilted towards the China. As a result, the China has started to send its navy to Sri Lanka. As a result, it has cause of worry for India, because the Chinese presence in the Indian Ocean region is a threat for India. So in this scenario, recently the Indian government has decided to develop the Hambantota port in the Sri Lanka. It is one of the positive steps which is taken by the Indian government to reach out to the Sri Lanka. And then India-Pakistan relationship. The relationship between the India and Pakistan is not so good at present. The Uri attack, Pathankot attack, and the recent arrest of the Kulbhushan Jadhav from Indian Marine were some of the issues which were going on between the India and Pakistan. Similarly, the Hafiz Saeed issue also one of the cause of worry between the relationship between India and Pakistan. Next, let us see the India-Myanmar relationship. Recently, the Indian Prime Minister has visited Myanmar. It is one of the positive steps which is taken by India to reach out to the Myanmar. And then the Indian government has signed a memorandum of understanding with Myanmar to develop the tourism spot, that is to develop Bagan tourism spot of Myanmar. This is one of the important positives of the Myanmar and India relationship. The only negative relationship is the Rohingya crisis. But India is handling the Rohingya crisis with Myanmar in a cordial manner. As a result, the Myanmar and India relationship is comparatively stronger. Next is the relationship with Afghanistan. The Afghanistan is one of the friendly nations of India, and India has taken a lot of steps to reach out to Afghan. Initially, the Indian government has created the Chabahar port in Iran to reach out to the Afghan. By going via the Chabahar port, the Indian government can be able to surpass the Pakistan intervention in between. And the Indian government has sent the Chital helicopter, as well as the Indian government has sent the MiG-25 helicopters to Afghanistan for its defense support. Recently, the Indian government also started procuring the second-hand Russian helicopters for the Afghan defense forces. These are some of the positive steps which were taken by Indian government to reach out to the Afghan nation. That is what all about this article, and now let us move on to next article. This is page number 5 of Hindu newspaper, and this page contains 3 important articles. This is the first important article of this page, and this article is discussing about the Polavaram major river irrigation project. Initially, under the monitoring of Ministry of Water Resources, the Union government has launched the National River Water Interlinking Project. Under this National River Water Interlinking Project, the surplus river have to be transferred or interconnected with the deficit river. Accordingly, the Himalayan rivers were connected to the peninsular rivers, because the Himalayan rivers were having the water supply for throughout the year, whereas the peninsular river were having the water supply only during the monsoon time period. So as a result, the Union government has decided to connect the Himalayan rivers with the peninsular rivers to overcome the water deficit issue. Under this National River Water Interlinking Project, the Union government has decided to link 30 projects. That is, the 30 river linking project is present under this National River Water Linking Project. One such project is what known as the Polavaram Major River Irrigation Project. The Polavaram major river irrigation project is concerned of two rivers, that is river Godavari and river Krishna. We know that the river Godavari is the surplus river, whereas the river Krishna is deficit river. As a result, the government has decided to divert the water from river Godavari to river Krishna. Since river Godavari and river Krishna is crossing through various states, this Polavaram project is having a lot of hurdles. That is, the river Krishna and river Godavari were passing through the states of the Chhattisgarh, Odisha and also through the Andhra Pradesh. As a result, the water sharing problem is present in this Polavaram major irrigation project, due to which a lot of delay have been taken place in execution of this project. The initial proposal for this Polavaram project is given in the year of 1941, but due to lot of hurdles, the project got final clearance only in the year of 1991. But after the 1991, due to certain hurdles, the Polavaram river project is still postponed for nearly 15 years. That is, only in 2004, the construction stone is laid for the construction of the dam. The dam is constructed across the Godavari river. The reservoir of the dam is spread across the western district of Godavari, eastern districts of Godavari, and also it spreads across the states of Chhattisgarh and Odisha. In this scenario, the United Andhra Pradesh is divided into two states, that is Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Due to this separation, the Andhra Pradesh is provided with a lot of special rights and special status. And under the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act, this Polavaram major irrigation project is considered as a national project. So as a result, the Union government has taken extra care in completion of this Polavaram project. So as a result, this project is expected to be completed by year of 2019. In this scenario, recently some of the people were stating that they are not provided with sufficient amount of the relief and rehabilitation package. That is one such issue which have to be addressed. That is what all about this article. And now let us move on to next article. This is the second important article of this page, and this article is discussing about the India's potential on the marine research. This article is very much important from the perspective of UPSC Civil Services examination. Especially it is important from the perspective of preliminary examination. We all know that the tsunami has attacked the Indian Ocean region in the year of 2004, that is December 2004. The tsunami has caused a devastating impact on the Indian Ocean region countries. Especially it has caused a huge amount of human and economic losses in the nations of Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Bangladesh, India, and also it has caused a huge amount of impact on the lives of Maldives people. In that scenario, being a responsible neighbor, the Indian government has dispatched the relief package and disaster relief team for the rescue operation. After completion of the rescue operation, the Indian government has participated in the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, which is conducted at that point of time. The Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission is a commission consisting of 150 member countries. It has decided to create the developing capacity building in this region to overcome the disaster problem. As a result, the Indian government has proposed to offer or create the ITCO Ocean in its country for the benefit of Indian Ocean Rim. The Indian Ocean Rim is an association of 26 nations, that is the 26 nations of the Asia and Africa which surround the Indian Ocean region. Here, the ITCO Ocean is meant for the capacity building of the region. The ITCO Ocean means the International Training Center for Operational Oceanography. Do note it down. ITCO Ocean means the International Training Center for Operational Oceanography. This operational oceanography involves the systematic ocean studies and which provides the information service to blue economy. Blue economy in the sense fishing, disaster management, shipping and ports, coastal management, etc. These are the background for the creation of the ITCO, that is the International Training Center for Operational Oceanography. This ITCO Ocean is a 100 crore project and it is likely to come up in the city of Hyderabad in the state of Telangana. This ITCO Ocean in the Indian National Center for Oceanic Information Service is likely to sign up an agreement with the UNESCO. After signing an agreement, this ITCO Ocean is going to assist the UNESCO in building the technical and management manpower capacity in marine and also in coastal sustainability and response to the marine natural hazards. By doing this, the ITCO Ocean is going to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goal of 14. This Sustainable Development Goal of 14 is discussing about the conservation and sustainable utilization of the ocean, seas and the marine resources. That is what all about this article, and now let us move on to next article. This is the third important article of this page, and this article is discussing about the Linga F issue. The Linga F issue is a long-standing issue in the state of Karnataka. Linga F is a community of people who were spread across the states of Karnataka, Maharashtra, and then they were spread in the states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Before learning about the Linga F issue, first let us see some background information regarding the Hinduism. Actually, the Hinduism is divided into two main streams. The first stream is what known as the Saivite stream or Saiva stream. The second stream is what known as Vaishnava stream or Vaishnavites. Here, the Saiva stream is further classified into 7 sects. One of the 7 sects is what known as the Veerasaiva sect. In general, all the Hinduism followers, especially the Saivites as well as the Vaishnavites, were the staunch supporters of Vedas, Agamas, Shastras, Puranas, and also they are the staunch supporters of their religious practices. But this Veerasaiva or Lingayat sect, which is created by Bashaveshwara in the 12th century, is completely opposing all these practices. That is, these Veerasaiva or Lingayat were opposing the Vedas, Agamas, Shastras, Puranas, and also they were opposing the religious practices. As a result, the followers of the Veerasaiva or Lingayat were stating that they don't belong to the Hinduism and they were belonging to the separate religion called as the Lingayat religion. These Lingayat community people were also stating a documentary evidence that until the year of 1881, the Lingayat issue is termed as a separate religion under the census of Mysore state. So as a result, the Lingayat were demanding for a separate religion status. That is what all about this article, and now let us move on to next article. This is page number 7 of Hindu newspaper, and this page contains 2 important articles. This is the first important article of this page, and this article is discussing about the new rules which is released by the Department of Public Sector Enterprises. Recently, the Department of Public Enterprises has released the Consolidated Model Conduct Discipline and Appeals Rules for the Central Public Sector Enterprises. These rules were meant to govern the conduct of the Central Public Sector Unit employees. It will directly impact around 12 lakh employees who were presently working under the union government. This new rules bars the central government employees from participating in the political activities and also criticizing the government policies and actions. And this new rules also states that the central government employees must not accept any sort of gifts, and also they have to refrain from consuming the intoxicating drink or drugs in a public place, and also these central government employees should not be supposed to appear in a public place in a state of intoxication or use of any intoxicating drink or drug in excess. Here, the term public places is defined as any place or premises which includes the conveyance to which the public have or permitted to have access whether on payment or otherwise. Apart from that, this new rules also states that the central government employees were not supposed to make any wrong statement or adverse criticism about the union government's policy or action of the central or state government or the central public sector enterprises, because such kind of an act will lead to the embarrassing relationship between the central public sector enterprises and the public. That is what provided in this article. And now let us move on to next article. This is the second important article of this page, and this article is discussing about the funding mechanism for the non-governmental organization. Earlier, the union government has borrowed the non-governmental organization, business entities and individuals from receiving the foreign contributions. This move of the union government has received the huge amount of criticism from India as well as from all over the world. So in order to counter this issue, the union government has now come with a new procedure for receiving the foreign contribution, according which the Home Ministry has recently announced a mechanism. According to this mechanism, the non-governmental organization, business entities or individuals were supposed to open a separate account in any of the 32 designated banks. This opening of new account have to be completed within a month of time period, and the details of this account have to be submitted to the Home Ministry in a prescribed format. Once this process is completed, after that the non-governmental organization or business entities or individuals were completely permitted to receive the contribution from the abroad. This move is meant to create the transparency in the foreign contribution to the NGOs. Apart from that, the Home Ministry also asked these personalities for utilizing the funds not for any kind of the detrimental nature of the national interest. That is what all about this article. This is page number 11 of Hindu newspaper, and this page contains 3 important articles. This is the first important article of this page, and this article is discussing about the fixed term which is allotted to the police chief. Earlier, in the year of 2006, the Supreme Court of India has provided a landmark verdict in this regard. According to this verdict, or according to the Supreme Court order, it has ensured a 2-year fixed term for the Deputy General of Police. This 2-year fixed term is applicable to the Deputy General of Police, that is for the police chief, irrespective of his superannuation date. Nowadays, this provision is misused by some of the states by appointing the favorite personalities. So, in order to curb this problem, the Union Government has filed an interlocutory application in this regard to the Supreme Court. In general, the cadre controlling authority of the IPS officers is the Home Ministry, and according to the All India Services Act of 1951, the officers were barred from remaining in office after the retirement unless the corresponding officer is cleared by the Union Government of India. So, in accordance with this act, the Supreme Court's verdict of 2006 is in violation. So, in order to counter this problem, now the Home Ministry is decided to come up with some new guidelines. According to the guidelines, the Home Ministry is planning to say that for the appointment of police chief or for the Deputy General of Police, that corresponding officer is supposed to have a minimum of 2 years remaining to become a superannuation. That is what all about this article. This is the second important article of this page, and this article is discussing about the defense sector. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defense has recently observed that the capital expenditure in defense is less when compared to the revenue expenditure. So before going into the article, first let us see what is meant by the capital expenditure on defense and what is meant by the revenue expenditure on defense. First, the capital expenditure on defense. The capital expenditure on defense means the expenditure which is incurred due to the procurement of weapons and systems. Whereas the revenue expenditure means the expenditure which is incurred due to the salary payment or other recurring expenses or requirement of stores, transportation expenses or revenue works and maintenance and other works. All these expenses comes under the revenue expenditure, whereas for the procuring of weapons and systems will come under the capital expenditure. Now, the Parliamentary Standing Committee of Defence has observed that nowadays the revenue expenditure is very much high when compared to the capital expenditure, due to which the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defence were showing some concern that the modernization of the defense is not yet taking place, because only when the capital expenditure is high, then the modernization of the defense is growing in a good direction. That is what the observation of Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defense in this regard. For this concern, the Defense Ministry has replied that the revenue expenditure is a constant expenditure and which is incurred for every year, whereas the capital expenditure is incurred only on a specific year on which the new procurement is taking place. So as a result, the budget of defense is in a normal terms and there is no speculation about the present expenditure of defense. That is what the observation or the reply given by the Defense Ministry to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defense in this regard. That is what all about this article, and now let us move on to next article. This is the third important article of this page, and this article is discussing about the financial crisis of 34 power projects, that is the non-performing asset of the power projects. Recently, the Union Power Ministry has submitted the list of 34 power projects to the Parliamentary Panel on Energy. These 34 power projects were in the financial crisis and they were facing the non-performing asset issue. Of these 34 power projects, 10 power projects were belonging to the state of Chhattisgarh. On observing all these details, the Parliamentary Panel on Energy has posed a series of questionnaires to the Union Ministry of Power, Coal and Finance, and also the panel has posed a series of questions to the RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India, and the lender banks, and also to the power plant developers. For this questionnaire, some of the officials were stating that the developer were the sole reason for the build-up of the financial crisis. The officials were stating that the decision for creation of the power plant or power project is the sole responsibility of the developer, because developer only on his assessment and only on his arrangement of inputs were formulating the power plants. That is all the land, water, necessary clearance, the sale of power under the power purchase agreement were all done by the developer alone. So as a result, the state have no role to play on this. That is the observation which is made by one of the official. And it has been found out that the main reason for the financial crisis of these power projects were primarily due to 3 reasons or 4 reasons. The first reason is the over projection of demand of electricity. It is the first reason. And the second reason is the aggressive bidding which is done by the developer. That is the second reason. And the third reason is due to the unavailability of the fuels. For example, in case of the thermal sector, the coal blocks were the primary fuel. Due to the non-availability of the coal blocks, these thermal power projects were unable to generate the electricity. As a result, these thermal power projects fell into the debt trap and finally resulted into the financial crisis. This is the third reason. And the fourth major reason is the delay in the starting of project. This is the one of the important reason for the financial distress of the power projects. These are the 4 important reasons which is causing the huge amount of trouble to the power projects, and which in turn lead on to becoming a non-performing asset. Of the power plants which were facing the non-performing asset issue, 90% of them were belonging to the power generation segment, whereas 10% of the power plants were or power projects were belonging to the transmission and distribution sector. Here you have to note down the Shakti scheme, that is the scheme for harnessing and allocating Koila transparency in India. This scheme will provide the substantial relief for 6 of these 34 projects. Thereby, this financial support will be provided by this Shakti scheme to these power projects. That is what all provided in this article. And now let us move on to next article. This is the page number 9 of Hindu newspaper, and this page contains 4 important articles. The first article is related to the World Trade Organization. We have covered a lot regarding the World Trade Organization in the previous day's papers analysis, and due to the shortage of time, we are not covering it in this video lecture. So kindly go through it. The second important article is related to the Maoism. This is also one of the important articles from the perspective of General Studies paper 3 of UPSC Civil Services examination, because it is dealing about the internal security. Then there is another one important article which is present in this paper. This article is primarily dealing about the social issue. It is also discussing about the self-help group and women empowerment. So as a result, it is also one of the important articles from the perspective of Civil Service Mains examination. And finally, there is also 4th important article is present in this page, and this article is very much important from the perspective of the science and technology, because it is discussing about the new advancement in the treatment of the spinal cord. That is what all about this page. And now let us move on to next page. This is the page number 8 of the Hindu newspaper, and this page contains 3 important editorial topics. The first article is related to the Jerusalem issue. This issue is very much important from the perspective of international relations, because recently the Indian government has voted in the favor of the UN resolution at the UNGA meeting. So from the international relation perspective, it is very much important to read this article. Then the second important article is related to the transgender issue. Recently the Union government has decided to table the rights of the transgender bill in the parliamentary session. So it is also one of the important article. And the third important article is the recent discussion between India and China regarding the border dispute. Recently the 20th round of the border dispute talk have begun between India and China. So it is also one of the important article which you have to read, because it is the first talk which is taken between or carried out between the India and China after the Doklam issue. Due to the shortage of time, we are not in a position to complete all this article in this video lecture. So we kindly request you to go through this article on your own. That is what all about today's newspaper analysis. For further video lectures and notes regarding the UPSC examination, do download our official Android app from the Google Play Store. All the best for your future examinations. Thank you.